Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Boys Season 5, Episode 4 video. There are a whole bunch of WTF moments, Easter eggs, even more depraved Homelander moments, so we will break it all down. You can definitely tell that we're halfway through the season because things are really starting to ramp up. There are like some actual stakes that are creeping into the show, and bodies are dropping faster and faster. The episode is titled The King of Hell, which is a reference to the name of issue 49 of the comics, and it's also a line that Homelander speaks in that particular comic book issue where he says, well, at that point, he'll be too late, won't he? Talking about Butcher, I'll be King of Hell. In the context of this episode, I think they're using it more to reference Homelander becoming the King of Hell as in this new Messiah for the church that they're rebranding for Vought. If he is successful, he will reign over a new kind of hell. The opening scene starts with him staring at a picture of Ryan as if his brain just completely shut out that he abused him physically recently. Firecracker comes into his apartment and he instantly smells Soldier Boy's stank all over her, which she lies about and seems like he believes just because he's too caught up in his new plan to become the new Messiah. He tells her about the full plan. He doesn't mention Stillwell or the milk. He just says that he saw an angel, quote unquote, and he doesn't want to serve God. He wants to become God, which absolutely causes her to glitch out big time. She thought that he was crazy before, but she's still so afraid of him that she obviously goes along with it, which Ashley's second head, which they call Back Ashley, like that's the name the show is using for, saying that Firecracker does not believe that Homelander is going to be the new god. There are a lot of people around Homelander in the 7 at Vought that are just terrified of him and doing what he wants because they're afraid of him, so we will see what happens in the finale if they are able to turn against him, because Stan Edgar implied to Mother's Milk that even if they are able to get rid of Homelander, he's just going to reassert control of Vought and it'll be business as usual like it was before Homelander was created. Presumably, all the other superheroes that are left alive would just go back to their normal day-to-day jobs, the stuff that they were doing before, which was also terrible, but just not quite as terrible as it is right now. All to serve the almighty dollar, the one true actual god of the boys' universe. But because Firecracker's whole thing is that she is good at media just in general, he orders her to use Vought's media machine to push him as God to the masses and get people to believe in him as God. We actually find out they have numbers on this too. There's currently just a little over 20% of the country, America, who would be willing to accept him as their new Messiah, and they need to push that over 70%. So they just get really, really slippery with the way they sell it to everyone at the end of the episode. Basically saying that he is the prophet of the Lord, the prophet of America, and they sell it like this big patriotism act like, well, if you don't believe in it, then you're not a patriot and you're against America. My assumption is that long-term their plan is if this were to be successful and he were to be this prophet and everybody started believing in him as a prophet of the Lord, after a long period of time, like after a very long time, eventually he would just start calling himself God, and so many people would believe him by then that they would just go along with it at that point, and he could do whatever he wanted to. There are a couple of funny moments, though, when they were workshopping the whole concept of it, where they're like, no, it's too much to actually call him God. Like, that's the line that the boys' TV show won't cross. There are a couple of those WTF lines that the show doesn't cross in this episode. That just happens to be one of them. Butcher then nurses Ryan back to health. He's alive like we all thought, like you heard him breathing at the end of last week's episodes. We knew he'd be alive. We find out that Becca wouldn't let Ryan watch Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back, even though Butcher tried to get him to watch them, only remembers Harrison Ford from Regarding Henry, so apparently Becca just has weird taste in movies and thinks that Star Wars is too scary for a real little kid.
Wait, Darth Vader's Luke Skywalker's dad?
Accidentally spoils that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father because he never saw Empire Strikes Back in telling him the story of the movie, but uses the plot of Empire Strikes Back to describe what just happened to Ryan trying and failing to fight Homelander, his father, and how to better do it next time, to be a comp to Return of the Jedi when Luke is able to confront and defeat his father. So this does lend a little credence to the idea that maybe Ryan will be able to help them in the finale in some way, but I do think that Ryan, of all people, will be safe. Like, he's not going to die in the finale. Ryan has enough plot armor on him now. This is why Butcher tries to remind him that he's their current best weapon without the virus. They don't have a working virus yet, and at the moment, when he tries to, he really can't come up with the words to explain that he does care about him, even though Ryan doesn't believe it. So that's like the big hurdle that they have to jump over, is before Butcher dies, if you want to feel hopeful about it, he has to convince Ryan that he really does love him. My assumption is they'll probably leave that for the actual finale. Like, however Butcher dies, it will happen in a way that Ryan will understand that Butcher loves him. You also notice that Terror is there the whole time. Ryan and Terror absolutely love each other, so anytime you see Ryan come, you see Terror show up. He winds up bolting, but that's just for now. Ryan will probably be back later this season. Frenchie and the rest of the boys try to remake the virus. They say it's weeks away, which sounds like it takes it past the events of the finale or right at the finale. There's like a small time jump when that happens. Huey's backup plan is to try and get any remaining V1 at Fort Harmony, the place where Vought conducted American trials on American soldiers, including Soldier Boy and his compatriots. All to prevent Homelander from getting it first and becoming immortal, where they won't be able to use the virus on him anymore. They also use the Fort Harmony subplot to give you a bunch more Soldier Boy backstory and also more setup for characters that we're going to see on the Soldier Boy prequel series, which takes place in the 1950s when this facility was still operating. You can definitely tell they're using this final season to set up that prequel show. Like, we want you all to still continue to watch the Boys Universe TV shows. We're going to see a bunch of these characters show up, but just 50 years earlier in the timeline pretty soon. They also remind you that Starlight has gone AWOL, and we see that she has gone to see her father, played by Tim Daly. The funny coincidence here is that he also played Superman during some of the DC animated movies back in the day. He also did a web show with the other Superman actors a long time ago, too. So it is funny seeing him pop up in the superhero TV show. There's also a Superman reference later in the episode, too. This is her father that left their family when she was younger, so she was raised by her mother alone. We find out that he then eventually started another family and had a son who's much younger, and now Annie's half-brother. Annie's kind of a dick. We get a little more backstory and exposition and side plots from Sage in her office too. We find out that they're defunding schools and try to refocus everyone to start what she calls Homelander Freedom Academies, basically filling kids' heads with all of Vought in his own rhetoric. Sage implies she actually liked the idea of indoctrinating the youth early on so it was easier to control people later on. And even though she obviously is a smart person, she doesn't believe all the crazy stuff that Homelander is spouting right now, but she does seem like she kind of gets off messing with the rest of society just in general. We will see where they take her character this season, because it always seems like she has a contingency plan, an actual secret master plan that she never fully reveals to Homelander or anyone else. Plans for dealing with everybody else going off the rails, like the plan within the plan within the plan. Soldier Boy comes to meet with her with more jokes, of course. Nell Carter was a black actress in the 60s and 70s. The ring in the tub of Crisco joke sounds like a hero-gasm kind of thing. We will probably see more origins of hero-gasm during that Vought Rising prequel show. There are a couple of jokes about him not being able to do blow on the set of his latest movie because of regulations. He's made tons of in-universe movies, like all the superheroes that Vought has make their own in-universe movies. Amazon make fake trailers for some of the ones that he did back when they introduced him in the show in season 3.
What took you so long?
You try running with this much sand in your butt.
Oh, hell of a time for humor, Tommy.
Come on, hurry up.
Most of them are meant to be really cheesy and over-the-top and bad by design, like Terror-Bad movies. We actually find out that Sage's real reason for making him meet with her was to bait him into going to Fort Harmony with Homelander, because Soldier Boy is worried that if Homelander gains immortality and immunity from the virus, he'll come after him eventually, or maybe something worse, or stick him back in permanent cryo. Basically, he's looking for ways to avoid Homelander becoming immortal. So the whole idea here is that Sage knew that Soldier Boy would want to go on the mission after hearing this, so she's moving them around like chess pieces, playing them like a fiddle, and it kind of feels like she's responsible for Bombsight stealing the V1 before they could get there. Part of me feels like she was actually hoping that one of them would kill one of the other while they were there, like Homelander versus Soldier Boy, one of them would off the other. As the boys get closer to the base, they start encountering dead people and animals. The thing that ripped them apart, they eventually learn, was one of the V1 superheroes that got mutated into like a giant fungus, Last of Us style. Like, that's the concept they're going for. It's meant to be like Last of Us, which they also clown on quite a bit. The boys' characters and the boys' universe, the boys' writers just in general, do not sound like fans of The Last of Us. They call it out as just being The Walking Dead, but with mushrooms. And who winds up being the big villain of this episode, more of a tragic villain, but Quinn, who is like the Last of Us fungus. Basically, the idea is that the spores that he gives off, that he's like grown and gives off, cause people to attack each other like a psychic effect. So this is why the boys' characters start fighting with each other, try to kill each other. This is why Homelander and Soldier Boy try to kill each other during the episode. And the roots of Quinn's body have grown so far beyond into the forest around the facility, that's why the animals and the other hikers around there have also started to kill each other over time. Like I said, it's meant to be exactly the way the fungus works in The Last of Us. Sage also confirms that Fort Harmony is the place where Soldier Boy got his V1 treatments back during World War II, the original trials. While this subplot is going on, they have a side story with the Deep and Black Noir having it out over him, gassing him, and taking the credit for capturing Stan Edgar. So it kind of seems like they're at each other's throats now, and Black Noir takes his mask off again and starts talking again, and we find out what was going on the past couple of episodes. He is very clearly not a Homelander clone, so hopefully that throws water on all those theories. The funny thing is that he's actually the same actor underneath the mask. Is it just in previous seasons, the original Black Noir, he never took his mask off as that version of the character. So when it came time to introduce Black Noir 2, the actor pretending to be the original Black Noir, they just used the same actor to portray him and let him talk and take the mask off and pretend like he was a different person. But the whole reason why he wasn't talking in the last couple of episodes this season so far is because he had gone full method and he was so dedicated as an actor to the role of becoming this new Black Noir. Seems like he was actually bros with the Deep, but now absolutely hates him and they're at each other's throats, so we will see if they betray each other in some way later this season. I think I talked about the Deep's podcast in a previous trailer video. It's called Manhandled. It's basically every single joke about the manosphere you have ever heard. Later we find out that Starlight's half-brother is actually hooked on it and he's like caught in the manosphere. Like he's got a big problem because he's believing all of Homelander's rhetoric, the Homelander Freedom Academy rhetoric. He's a little bit like a younger version of Todd, just like somebody who believes every single thing that Vought says on social media and in their TV shows, in their movies, literally anything that they publish. Ashley gets real freaky with O-Father at the White House. Remember, she was part of that BDSM group with Tech Nine, so she was in on all that freaky stuff that he was up to, and this is just like part of her kink, now doing it in the White House.
Your super scream. We really gotta get you a stronger ball gag.
We also find out her second head gets in on it too, which makes sense because it's attached to the back of her head, and they're calling it Back Ashley. She reveals O-Father's secret that the church is going bankrupt and they need to find a way to make more money and use Firecracker's Homelander as God solution. She also makes a Tammy Faye Baker reference. She and her husband Jim Baker were infamous televangelists back in the day who built a lot of people out of a lot of money before he went to prison. So the whole idea is that they're turning his church now into Homelander's church, and they think that that will help them make more money. Basically getting everybody to love Homelander, to buy into Homelander, spend all their money on Homelander, therefore also providing a path for the Church of Homelander to get most of that money. We go back to Starlight's storyline. She learns a little bit more about her father's new family. They reveal they didn't tell their new son about her, but his wife knew about her the whole time. And because they've shielded their son, he's been caught up in all of Vought's rhetoric, like I said. He's meant to be the manifestation of like the real world fear that your children are becoming addicted to the internet and social media and being indoctrinated by really, really bad actors out there. So it is not a great storyline, like it's kind of on the nose with some of their references, but you kind of get what they're going for here. Back at the 7 Tower, Firecracker has a writer's room that she puts together to come up with how to sell Homelander to the masses so that they will believe in him as God, and they use a lot of writer's room Hollywood references to make fun of the boys' writer's room. Like a lot of the references they make are very specific Hollywood writer references, which feel like the writers of the show themselves calling each other out. When they start arguing about where to get lunch from, this is actually a joke about writers' rooms in Hollywood in real life. Some of the nicer rooms will buy lunch for all the writers that work on the actual shows day to day. Like a lot of money will be spent on it, and a lot of arguing will be done about where they order lunch from. Like a lot of their day will be taken up in trying to figure out where to get lunch from instead of actually working. So basically, it's the boys' writers calling themselves out for being lazy. You also notice they're all drinking A-Train's Turbo Rush energy drink. The Worm is back because he works on a lot of Vought TV shows, who wants Homelander to perform a miracle on live TV, and that will help convince people that he is the Messiah, putting him on a poster sitting on a mountain temple, and they say currently only 22% of the people would be willing to accept him as God, and they need to get the number above 70%. When they joke about Vought Plus never actually releasing any viewership numbers, it's an Amazon Prime streaming service joke. All streaming services generally don't release very detailed viewing data, so you never really know who's actually watching stuff or how they're watching it. They just tell you, oh, this show did well, or this show didn't do quite as well as the other one, but you never really get the actual numbers on that. Usually the reason streaming services do this, like Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, all the other ones like Apple, is to hide the fact that not that many people watch their stuff. Netflix used to be famous for stuff like this, like if you'd mouse over one of the thumbnail tiles, they would count that as somebody viewing a TV show. There are a couple of jokes that they make about the actual Boys Season 5 finale that's coming in several weeks. When they say Worm wrote a Lamplighter Light of Justice TV show and everybody hated the finale, that also feels like the showrunner Eric Kripke calling out The Boys Season 5 finale, which he said he did have trouble writing, making fun of themselves like they actually wrote a bad finale. Worm was also ranting about this in an earlier episode too, about how all finales wound up being bad. Especially when he mentions servicing 14 main characters and servicing crossover characters, like it's definitely the Boys series calling out the Gen V crossover characters too. Like, we have all these crossover characters, all these main characters, there's no way we can actually do them all service in our real finale.
I had to service 14 main characters and crossover a bunch of assholes from the Avenging Squad prequel.
It's almost like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Like, see, we told you that the finale wasn't going to be as crazy as you thought that it was going to be. Firecracker's new idea then is to use Manifest Destiny as a concept and sell America as the chosen people and Homelander as their messiah, calling it the Democratic Church of America. Instead of calling him God, they'll call him the Prophet. So the whole idea is they're going to say if you don't believe in Homelander as the Prophet or in the Democratic Church of America, you're not patriotic and you hate America. Then we finally get our super dysfunctional Homelander Soldier Boy team up. They walk and it takes them forever to get to the facility because he thinks that Homelander carrying him like a baby is too gay, and that's like a big thing with him. He doesn't want to seem too gay. When they're both talking about banging Stormfront and Soldier Boy says there's no way she'd kill herself, this does give some gas to the theory that Stormfront is secretly alive somewhere in hiding because Homelander did not see her body after they wheeled her away, and the rule is, in all things, if you don't see a body, they're not confirmed dead. And we do know that Stormfront is going to be a big character on this Vought Rising prequel series with Bomb Sight, with Soldier Boy, and some of the other characters that we'll meet in other episodes coming up this season. But as they get closer to the facility, they both start fighting more, just like the Boys characters start infighting more because of the spores that are given off by Quinn, which have grown this far out into the forest around Fort Harmony. It's just way more concentrated deep inside the facility. So this is why the characters started to act out of turn and get more mouthy the closer they got to the actual building. Frenchie, however, realizes that he's the only person who's immune to it because he did too many drugs and it messed his brain chemistry up so much that it doesn't affect him. When we go back to Starlight's storyline, her father explains what happened when she was younger and why he left their family and what he's doing in present day and how all this stuff with Homelander is affecting him in his daily life. He's a police officer and his department is run by Livewire, who's meant to be a parody of Static Shock and Lightning Lad, and her father avoids doing all the shady stuff that they are making them do, rounding up Starlighters, because he understands that Starlight is a good person and she's not trying to hurt people. But part of the idea is that it's like this all over the United States. There are families just like this, where like there are people that do have good sense, that haven't completely lost their marbles, but they're just afraid for their lives. They don't want to go to prison camp. The real reason why he left them when Annie was younger is because when she got the V1, her mother started telling her and getting her to believe that she was an actual gift from God. It just got way too creepy, like her mother got way too creepy, and then Annie started to believe it and get gassed up by it and get way too creepy, so it was just too much for him to handle, and he bailed. Which he apologizes for and helps Annie come to the realization that she still needs Huey and wants to go back to him eventually by the end of the episode and back to the boys. Mostly they use this whole storyline to give a more positive, hopeful spin on the narrative this season so that it all doesn't seem like doom and gloom heading to the end of the season. Like, oh, there are good people out there who do understand what it is to have good sense and they are able to talk it out. Like her father and his co-worker, the other police officer, don't wind up shooting each other dead over the disagreement. So they want to show you that there are other people in the United States that are capable of thinking this way too. Like people will be able to come to some common cause in some agreement by the end of all this if they are able to get rid of Homelander and deal with Vought. When we go back to Fort Harmony, they make a whole bunch of jokes about The Last of Us. Like I said, not big fans. They call it basically just The Walking Dead on steroids with mushrooms. This also means that Robert Kirkman, The Walking Dead, and The Last of Us are all canon to the Boys universe. Robert Kirkman also does the Invincible TV show, which I do episode videos for. I'm working on a finale video for that too right now, while I'm also in the middle of making this video. But also, there are people that have wondered if they're going to ever do a crossover between The Boys and Invincible, just because Robert Kirkman is famous for doing all kinds of crazy comic book crossovers in the Invincible comics.
You took our home, so our home is now here.
Both of the showrunners, Robert Kirkman and Eric Kripke, have said never say never. We will see if that ever winds up happening though, but it would probably happen in animation, obviously. When Homelander and Soldier Boy start walking into the facility, it feels very Supernatural coded, like this dark building with Jensen walking around fighting people. Just feels like something out of a Supernatural episode. But he starts having PTSD flashbacks to World War II when he got V1. They use this to also explain some of his backstory too. Homelander, obviously, because of the spores, because of the effect that Quinn is having on them, starts calling him out, and they start fighting with each other just like the Boys characters. I already talked about the bomb site character. The Boys imply that he came early, stole all the remaining samples, and I think they're trying to say that Sage probably had him do that. Maybe she was behind this. My assumption is that we'll meet the bomb site character in an actual future episode. But he was also one of the characters on Soldier Boy's first team. They were like the precursor to the Seven, like the Justice Society, in relation to the Seven being more like the Justice League. They have a little joke about the deer piss idea working on Homelander because he smells that for sure, but we also learned that Soldier Boy was a rich kid who had his father buy his way into Vought's trials so that he could get superpowers because his brother, who we haven't met yet, maybe we'll meet him during the Prequel TV series, actually was a hero during World War II and got the Silver Star, and he was so jealous of his brother. The reason why Homelander resents him and is calling him out for all this, for being the spoiled child who takes his family for granted, is because that's the one thing that Homelander never had growing up that he wants so desperately, is to have a real family. Soldier Boy then traps him in a super-proof cell, relatively super-proof, that was used to test the V1 on candidates with the enriched uranium to see if they could survive an atomic bomb. But at least for someone as powerful as Homelander, it's just going to slow him down for a little while. Like you see here, they use it as an opportunity for a really great scene between him and Butcher. While this is going on, the Boys characters are busy trying to kill each other because of Quinn's spores, but Butcher then eventually finds Homelander in the cell bleeding out, and they use this to have that moment between the two of them, calling him out. He's right, even if Homelander did get the V1 and became immortal, he still wouldn't be happy, and tries to taunt him using Ryan. And Homelander also trying to throw it back in his face, saying that nothing you do will be successful, I will win no matter what. Butcher gets another moment telling him to his face that he will kill him before he dies, but they both already had moments like this where they talk to each other about killing each other. Like, this is how it will end, me and you. Then they finally reveal the source of the spores are from Quinn, who Soldier Boy knew during the trials back in the 1950s. We'll probably see him before he turned into this during the Vought Rising prequel TV show, because the way they play, Frenchie baits Soldier Boy into using his flare ability to kill him to cause the effect to drop so that everybody stops trying to kill each other. But also, Soldier Boy seems so upset by doing this, and it makes it seem like he might have been good friends with Quinn back in the day. Like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. We will probably learn more about this during the actual prequel series when we see Quinn when he was not like before he turned into this. All the boys bail with their tails between their legs, listening to Mambo No. 5 on the way home, which was funny. They're going to need a minute before they can talk to each other again, but they do kind of address that at the end of the episode, like, are we cool? Are we cool? Yes, kind of. Yes, kind of. It kind of felt like Starlight's storyline had the happiest ending this week, like I said, trying to give you the hopeful goodbye, like there is still hope out there, like it's not going to be terrible heading into the finale. Homelander then finally busts out of his cell, and the reason why Soldier Boy is crying while he finds him sitting there is because he killed his friend. Like, he's still crying about what happened to his friend, not because about what happened with the V1 not being there.
Are you crying?
But it does kind of seem like the combination of everything that's happening at the same time, hitting him at the same time, his dead friend who he just killed, his remorse over that, and his broken relationship with his son and Homelander, is just ready to die and kind of wants Homelander to kill him to get it all over with. Which of course he can't do, like Homelander still thinks of Soldier Boy as his father and won't kill him, at least yet. So they'll both be back at Vought next week probably, like Soldier Boy will eventually make his way back to Vought. We have also not seen the actual full-on supernatural union with Jensen, Jared, and Misha yet, and we know that's going to be happening in an upcoming episode. When we go back to the boys, Frenchie and Kimiko imply that they're growing apart as people, just as Huey and Annie seem like they're stronger than ever, and for fun, we find out that Butcher and Mother's Milk are just watching the tapes of the Russian experiments on Soldier Boy that they stole when they rescued him from the lab in Season 3, trying to look for a weakness, but also kind of enjoying watching the torture. Then they watch the Vought News broadcast of O Father when he calls out Homelander as their new Messiah, the new prophet. He calls it the divine rebranding, Patriots of Faith, the Democratic Church of America, and like I said, the new word for Homelander they're using is the prophet, prophet of the Lord and of America. So they're not literally calling him God, they're avoiding that, but they're saying that he is the only person who can truly hear what God is saying and will communicate that to them. So essentially, everybody's just going to do what Homelander tells them to do, which is what he wanted to happen before. So like this is the next best thing to actually literally calling yourself God, is saying that you're just telling everyone what God said to do. Who are they to say that you're a liar because you're the only person who can hear what God said? While he's explaining this to the crowd, he also makes the Superman reference. Homelander is a Superman parody. You also notice behind them on the stage too, there are 3 thrones. 2 are for Homelander and Ryan, and I'm assuming the third one is probably for Soldier Boy. Then they end the episode with that similar visual effect that they used in previous episodes where light shines on Homelander's face and all the sound drowns out and you're in his perspective and it's total emptiness, like he experiences total emptiness, like when he was watching his movie, that big meme of that. But right as the episode cuts to black, he's getting ready to speak the words of what he's going to say God told him to say. Basically his first message to people, like do what I tell you to do because this is what God wants you to do. But everybody let me know in the comments, what do you think he's actually going to tell everybody that God is telling them to do? Like, what is his quote-unquote message from the Mount going to be? Probably praise Homelander, love Homelander, and just drink a lot more milk. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any big Easter eggs or references or WTF moments that you spotted in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. My full episode 5 video will post next week after they release it. They'll also probably release a trailer sometime in the next couple days too, so I will do a video for that as well. And I'm in the middle of finishing my Invincible finale video, so look out for that in the next several hours. Everybody click here for that next Boys episode. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for all my other Boys episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.